Hello, BookTube, and welcome to a tag. I'm doing a tag, which I don't do too many anymore, but this one's called Ringing in the New Year book tag, and it was originally done by, or created by, Book Chronicles, and I saw this on James Holder's channel. And it covers a bit, most of the ground that I've already done in a video or two, but it's in a different way, so I thought, well, yeah, I'll do it this way. And there's 8 questions. The first one is the best book or books or series that you've read in 2021. Well, I'm going to stretch the series bit. It's not by one author. It's a series of books that have been reprinted from the Detective Club, Collins. And here's one here. It's called The Crime Club. It's a collection of short stories. I started reading these earlier this year, and I've thoroughly enjoyed them, every single one. I don't have them all. I have about 15 of them, and I've thoroughly enjoyed those. Another book that I read, fiction-wise, that I thoroughly enjoyed, it's probably my favorite fiction book of the year, is, excuse me, is The Turn of the Screw by Henry James. It's a ghost story, or is it? That is the question. And this is the Penguin edition with other ghost stories by Henry James in here. And I don't know why it took me so long to read this, but this will be a reread and a reread and a reread many times. And as I say, I thoroughly enjoyed it. Why it took me so long, I don't know. It's also was a fabulous adaptation. There's 2 other excuse me. There are 2 nonfiction books here by Mike Ashley, and they're published by the Liverpool University Press. First one is The Time Machine, and the next one is called Transformations. Now, they are the story of science fiction magazines, and it goes up to 1970 in the 2 volumes. He has written 4 volumes. Yes, 4 volumes of the history of the magazine going up to 1990, I believe it is. And the final 5th volume coming up to 2020 will be published late 2022 in hardcover. Very expensive. But yeah, those are sort of my favorites. Number 2, authors that you have discovered this year and would like to read more from. Well, I don't know about discovered. I would say rediscovered. I can't think of one specific author that I've discovered. But to rediscover authors that I've touched on was Frank Norris, because I read McTeague and I thoroughly enjoyed that. I've read 1 or 2 of his other books, and I liked them in the past, but I never really did much, but I'd like to read more. The other author that sort of jumps to mind is Virginia Woolf. Oh, and yeah, there is one other, but Virginia Woolf, I've decided to read her books in chronological order. I've read about 3 of them, I think, 3 or 4. Well, fiction-wise, three or 4 in the past. So I'm rereading them slowly. I have only read 1 so far, and the other one is Aldous Huxley. That I've sort of rediscovered him again. I've read 4 or 5 of his books possibly, and in the past, but I'm now reading them again chronologically as when he wrote them. So it's not quite the same, because I can't think of anything that's a new author off the top of my head. Now, number 3 is the best book turned movie / TV adaptation in 2021, or most anticipated adaptation for 2022, or both. Definitely nothing for 2021. There was nothing that was I was anticipating or wanting to watch. I would say if I alter the question a little bit, it would be The Turn of the Screw for The Innocents, the Jack Clayton 1962 film. No, I may not be correct on the exact year there, but early 60s. Excuse me. And yeah, and for 2022, there's a basically, I don't think there'd be any film or well, it might be a TV adaptation of something that I would be wanting to see of a book, but film wise, just I can't see anything that I'd be going, yes, I can't wait till that comes into film, because they just don't make there's too many other priorities in making films today, and those priorities push out all the stuff that I think are good in films generally, or mostly. But there is a TV series. It might be out in 2022. I don't watch TV that much, but it's a reboot of Babylon 5. I am quite eager to see what that is like. It's not from a book, though. It's from another TV series. So I would, again, adapting the question. Now, number 4. Have your reading habits changed at all this year, and have you gotten into any new genres? The first part is yes. Because of COVID and long COVID and cognitive issues, I'm finding it difficult to read, period, or at least sustain periods of time. I've done actually quite well for myself, I think, for the year. When I started reading again about late March or April sometime. No, I guess it would have been April, I think, ish. Excuse me. And I've been concentrating mostly on fiction because of that. I've been trying to put in some nonfiction. But it's slow going when I read nonfiction. And have I gotten into any new genres? Not anything that's specifically new. There's ones that I had sort of been dabbling in for the last maybe 3 years, in that sort of the crime stuff, and I mentioned the Detective Club and sort of crime or mysteries that I have gotten more into this year, definitely. But I don't think there's anything else new, and sort of renewed interest in science fiction. It's always been there, but it's sort of dug in a little deeper this year. Number 5, which doesn't make sense, but I think I know what they're trying to say. It says favorite ship, romantic or platonic, of the year, or a new favorite character. Favorite ship. I'm assuming it means relationship, because to me, ship is one of those big floaty things with a pointy end at the front that float on the ocean or seas, as opposed to the floaty things and pointy points, the front end that go on rivers and and inland lakes. So I don't think they mean that ship. They mean a relationship. Don't know. Newspeak? Is that what this is? It's a total bastardization of the word newspeak from Orwell, anyway. But oh well. But if they're talking about relationship, romantic or platonic, or new favorite character, I can't think of anybody that's sort of a new favorite character. I can't think of any relationships. No, it's not that. No, I can't think of anything. So let's move on. Number 6, have you started planning your TBR for 2022, and how many books do you hope to read? I do have TBR because I will be doing the Future History Project along with a few other booktubers and other readers, and that'll be reading the complete Future History by Isaac Asimov plus all the other material written by other writers that fit in the universe. Not fan fiction, but published works. And I have a number of other things that I'll be reading while joining in, I guess. Oh, okay. Well, wait a minute. Yeah. So that's the next question. So I won't jump ahead. So that is sort of a TBR set in stone. There are other things that I hope to read throughout the year. But I'll have to see. And how many books? I don't really have an agenda of number of books. I just try to read as much as I can, and that's all. That's the way I've always been. I know that generally I read X number of books, and it's been a bit low this past year, but despite the difficulties I've had, I've still been very pleased with what I've done. So if I do similar in 2022, I'll be pleased as well if things stay the same. And will you participate in any reading challenges or readathons? Yes, there's the uh, Future History Project that I will be doing, and I hope to join in with Sag Along and Scott Bryant at Bookish Bryant's. He's doing sort of a year of big books, and he's reading a number of larger size books, and I will hopefully be joining him on a few. I'd like to read War and Peace, which I have not read War and Peace by Tolstoy. And the rest will be rereads. And he will be reading at some point Les Miserables by Victor Hugo. And this is the newest translation, the Penguin translation. Came out in hardcover as The Wretched, with I think that was the dust jacket, which I never got. And yeah, this is a reread. This will be the 4th or 5th reread of it, but it's been many years since I've reread it, so I figured, well, it's a good excuse. And he's also going to be doing, I think in August, the unabridged Alexander Dumas Count of Monte Cristo. And the latest translation of that at the moment, I believe, it'll be the Penguin edition, which I do not have. I thought I did, unless it is buried somewhere. But I don't have that as far as I know. I also want to reread. Oh no, there's one other one that he's doing definitely. Is the Three Musketeers, the news translation by Lawrence Ellsworth. Ellsworth, I think it is. Yeah, I'm always thinking of Lord Emsworth when I think of his name for some reason. But anyway, yeah, I have that, and I just couldn't lay my hands on it to show it to you. It's a newer translation by Ellsworth that's doing the whole Three Musketeers cycle, basically, of books. And I'm hoping after that he will get to the Count of Monte Cristo, because that would be nice. But then it'll be nice to reread this prior to that, the older version. Oh yeah, and Rabelais' Gargantua and Pantagruel. I hope to reread that. Other ones sort of on the horizon a bit, because I've been saying I'm usually late to the party for most things. I'd like to reread the Dune 6 main Dune books by Frank Herbert. I may or may not get that in this year, but and also too, there is another reading possibility of reading Clifford D. Simak, everything he's written in chronological order, at least the fiction, starting with short stories and moving on through. I still need to assemble quite a bit of stuff to do that, so that if that even begins, that'll be late, most likely late 2022. Oh, and I can't forget New Worlds November. I wasn't too successful with the last one. I got halfway through, and I'm still sort of finishing up actually reading stuff that I had planned for that. But I will be pretty. I am I think pretty well finished. I have one short story I want to read for that. So yeah, so that's sort of plans. The ones that are going to be hard and fast is going to be the future history project. Is definitely. Let me see. Number 8. Any New Year's resolutions or goals, bookish, blogging, vlogging, or otherwise? Well, I generally don't make any sort of New Year's resolutions, but I do kind of make sort of things. Well, yeah, I think I'd like to do this year, and it doesn't always work out that way. And well, actually, I mentioned two of those would be the Dune saga, and Clifford Simak. Oh, and I think to finish up reading, because I started at the beginning of the year, or midway through, I reread the first two Hyperion Cantos volumes, Hyperion and Fall of Hyperion. So, and I'd like to finish reading the Endymion and the Rise of Endymion, and then the short story that follows up from there. So that's something else that I'd like to do. And hopefully read more. That's sort of my plan, is to read more and feel better, hopefully, for the year. But also to non-bookish things is film. I been for the last couple, well, mostly in 2020, I decided that I wanted to revisit. It's still classic films, like sort of pre 1970, but with bigger emphasis on pre 1960, and definitely silent film. But the one that I've wanted to revisit is non-English language films. For silent films, that's fine. But I kind of got disillusioned with non-English language sound films from say late 1920s, 1930 up to say 1970. But I started buying a lot of Blu-rays, as you can see behind me. You can see above me here. Well, that's mostly silent there. But there's a lot here and here and here. Oh, it's hard to. Oh, there we go. That's all I need to do is lift it out in front of me. So yeah, so there's lots there and along there. So I want to start digging into some of these. Maybe once a week or something like that. Some non-English language, because I have some French, I have some German, few Italian items, some quite a bit of Japanese films, like a little bit of everything, and some Swedish films. I really enjoy Swedish silent films. So yeah, so that's what I'm sort of hoping to do, and that's a bit of my goals, if I do have goals, but they're never hard set in stone. If I achieve them, yay. If I don't, that's fine as well. Because if I don't, then there's going to be the reason that I found something else that has sort of taken my interest for a while, or health reasons or something like that, or time wise that I can't do it. So either of those are valid reasons for me. But anyway, that is the Ringing in the New Year book tag, and we're getting in to the new year on Saturday, and tomorrow I'll end up the year with a Friday Reads. It's sort of going to encompass several weeks. I'm not sure when I did a Friday reads last, and it's not going to be much, but it'll be just more or less talking, I think, about what I am hoping for the next week, and that's where my sort of goals work. I try to work from week to week, and I sort of I codify things, and I set down what I want to read for the week next. And that's about as far ahead that I know that those are going to be pretty close, or fingers crossed. So we'll do that tomorrow, and have a good evening, BookTube. Take care.